Welcome to the deep dive. So you've given us these sources on Marcus Aurelius's Meditations, and we're going to dive in and pull out the key ideas for you.
Yeah, think of us as guides. We'll walk through it together, find those essential nuggets, and sort of connect the dots so you get the core of what this work is all about quickly.
And the main source we're working with today is the Penguin Classics translation by Martin Hammond. We've got his introductory notes, which are really insightful, and then, of course, pieces from the Meditations itself.
It's a pretty unique task, actually, because these aren't polished essays for the public. These are like private notes, an emperor's journal almost. Very personal, very raw in places.
Yeah, the intro notes really hammer that home, how unusual this is. There's really nothing quite like it from ancient Greece or Rome.
Absolutely. I mean, just picture it. The Roman emperor, maybe the most powerful guy on earth at the time,
Right.
and he's writing philosophy. But not for Rome, not for glory. He's writing to himself.
To himself. And get this, in Greek, not Latin. Greek was the language of philosophy, sure, but Latin was the language of Roman power. It's fascinating.
Exactly. Now, okay, some bits have a certain rhetorical polish, makes you wonder if maybe he thought about publishing later, maybe.
Possibly.
But the overall feel and what the scholarship suggests is, no, these are overwhelmingly private thoughts, deeply introspective. An emperor wrestling with big ideas alone, it really stands apart.
Okay, so let's get into this emperor. How do we even start to understand him? This powerful ruler, but also this incredibly inward-looking guy.
Well, you got to try and put yourself in his world, even for a second. Emperor, yes, immense responsibility. But the meditations show someone constantly looking inward. That serious, thoughtful look you see on some busts of him, that's definitely there in the writing.
And these notes, maybe written on the battlefield, rough conditions.
Very possibly. Campaigned a lot on the frontiers. So, yeah, writing this stuff amidst chaos. And he wasn't just, born wise. Book 1 is amazing for that.
Oh, yeah, where he thanks everyone.
Exactly, but it's not just thanks. He lists specific people, his tutors, his family, friends, and exactly what virtue or lesson he learned from each one. It's like a roadmap of his values.
So specific, like Diognetus teaching him to avoid, what was it, empty enthusiasm.
Yeah, I mean, how relevant is that today? And also tolerating plain speaking, loving philosophy, the simple life. He mentions a camp bed and a hide blanket.
The future emperor learning to appreciate a simple camp bed tells you something.
Right, shows what he valued wasn't just surface stuff. Then there's Rusticus. Huge influence, taught him to want correction for his character. Think about that, an emperor seeking criticism.
That's pretty radical humility.
And Rusticus is key because he's the one who gave Marcus his copy of Epictetus's discourses.
Ah, Epictetus, the former slave turned Stoic philosopher. Talk about different life experiences.
Totally. And you see Epictetus's ideas popping up all over the meditations. Things like the soul just carrying a corpse, or that no one can steal your will, your choices, or life being a contest for sanity.
Strong stuff. What about Sextus? He gets a mention too, right?
Oh, Sextus sounds like an amazing person. Marcus admired his kindness, his well-run household, living naturally, quiet dignity, genuine care for friends, and his tolerance. Tolerance for everyone, ordinary folks, opinionated people.
That's a tough one.
Yeah. And Marcus notes Sextus combined this, like freedom from passion with real affection. And he wore his learning lightly, didn't show off. That combination, powerful.
Unaffected dignity and wearing learning lightly. Definitely things to aim for.
Yeah.
And Maximus. What did he learn there?
Maximus seems like the embodiment of Stoic strength. Self-mastery, good cheer even when sick, balanced character, gentle and dignified. Marcus praises his energy, trustworthiness, resourcefulness, how he wasn't easily surprised or panicked.
Steady.
Very steady, never rushed, never hesitant, not downcast, not suspicious, generous, forgiving, truthful. Had a sense of humor, but projected this total integrity. Quite the example.
He clearly had some incredible role models. His adoptive father, Antoninus Pius, must have been huge too.
Oh, massively. Marcus says Antoninus basically stripped him of any conceit. Showed him you could live in a palace without all the pomp and circumstance, the bodyguards, the fancy robes, the statues everywhere.
Live like a private citizen almost, but still run the empire.
Exactly. Maintain the dignity and get the job done, but without the ego. And be content with less.
So, strong personal examples, and then these deep philosophical roots, Epictetus being central.
Yeah, Epictetus gave him that practical Stoic toolkit. And then looking even further back, you have Socrates. For Marcus, and for the Stoics generally, Socrates was the ideal wise person, the sophos.
The ultimate sage.
Right. uncompromising on virtue, courage, justice, self-control, practical wisdom, piety. Socrates was this constant reference point for thinking about human nature, the soul, reason, passions. Marcus mentions him often, usually via what he read in Epictetus or Plato.
And even older philosophers sneak in, like Heraclitus.
Absolutely. That image Marcus uses all the time, the river of time or creation, this violent, ceaseless flow, that's pure Heraclitus.
You can't step in the same river twice.
Exactly. It perfectly captures that sense of constant change Marcus saw everywhere. He even mentions Heraclitus's idea about the universe eventually burning up in a great conflagration.
Okay, so we've got the influences, the people, the philosophical background, but you said the real core is the inward turn. Let's shift there to the inner world Marcus explores. That feels central.
It absolutely is. This is where it gets really intense and personal. He talks constantly about the directing mind. Sometimes he calls it the divinity within us, or the ruling principle, the inner citadel.
The core self.
That's it. The essential you, the part that thinks, judges, chooses. And his whole project is about keeping this directing mind pure, strong, untroubled, inviolate from all the external chaos.
Which leads straight into that classic Stoic idea about externals, right? Things like pain, pleasure, money, reputation, even death itself, all the stuff we usually obsess over.
He calls them indifferents, which doesn't mean they're irrelevant in a practical sense, like you still need to eat, but they are indifferent with respect to your inner state, your virtue, your directing mind.
They can't actually harm your core self.
Exactly. They have no inherent power to damage you, the real you inside. The harm doesn't come from the event itself.
It comes from how you react, how you judge it.
Precisely. This is maybe the biggest takeaway from the whole book. He says, essentially, all is as thinking makes it so. Your opinions, your judgments about things, that's what causes distress, not the things themselves. Strip away the judgment.
And the suffering goes away.
Right. The pain might still be there physically, but the mental anguish, the disturbance that vanishes.
So true harm isn't like losing your job or getting sick. The real harm, the only real harm, is when your directing mind messes up.
Exactly. When the soul harms itself. He lists ways it does this, becoming like a tumor on the universe by separating itself, turning away from other people, giving in to excessive pleasure or pain, being deceitful, acting randomly or without purpose. It's always moral harm. Damage to your own reason and character.
And the flip side is focusing on what is in your power.
Yes. Because while externals are mostly out of your control, virtues are entirely up to you. Integrity, dignity, working hard, self-denial, contentment, kindness, independence, simplicity, discretion, generosity.
These aren't dependent on circumstances.
Not at all. You can choose these right now no matter what's happening. Unlike, say, being brilliant or athletic, these character traits are always within reach.
And the way to cultivate them is to look inside.
He literally says, look within, dig into your own directing mind, know yourself, focus on what's truly yours. It's a constant, active practice of introspection.
Okay, so that's the inner fortress. Now let's zoom out. How did Marcus see our place in the bigger picture, in the universe? He didn't see us as just isolated specks, did he?
Definitely not. Everything is connected. He talks about living according to nature, and that means two things. According to universal nature, the order of the cosmos, the whole.
And according to our own human nature.
Which for him and the Stoics is fundamentally rational and social. We're built for reason and for community.
He even describes the universe as like a single living thing.
Yeah, he uses that analogy. An ordered whole, a single organism, a great city or community. This sense of cosmic interconnectedness is absolutely vital to his worldview. Everything fits together.
It's interesting, though, he seems to grapple with whether this order comes from divine providence, some kind of intelligence, or if it's all just, atoms bumping around randomly.
He does. You see him weighing both possibilities, providence or atoms, purpose or randomness. He doesn't seem to land 100% definitively, but he often leans towards an ordered universe.
Where things happen for a reason.
Yeah, where everything is interwoven, and what happens, even seemingly bad stuff, contributes somehow to the overall health and functioning of the whole.
Which leads to maybe the hardest part of Stoicism for a lot of us. Accepting whatever happens, your lot.
It's tough, no doubt. But if you view the universe as ordered, then what happens to you is part of that order. It's prescribed, destined, fated, whatever word you use. It's connected to you, and it's necessary for the good of the whole.
So complaining about it is like fighting against reality.
Worse, it's like trying to damage the whole. He compares it to accepting a doctor's orders.
Right. The medicine might taste bad, but you take it because it's for your health.
Exactly the same idea. Accept what fate prescribes because it's ultimately for the health of the cosmos, which includes you.
And tied into all this is that relentless theme of change. Everything flowing, nothing lasting.
Yes, constantly. The river image again, everything's transient. He loves reminding himself and us how quickly even the most famous people are forgotten. Alexander the Great, Caesar, great thinkers like Heraclitus or Democritus.
Dust to dust.
Pretty much, empires rise and fall, stars burn out, people live and die. It's the nature of things, constant flux.
And knowing life is so short and fleeting, it creates this urgency, doesn't it?
Absolutely. If everything's changing and your time is limited, the only moment you truly possess is right now, the present. So there's this pressure. Become good now. Don't put it off. The past is gone. The future uncertain. Act now.
And how does he view death itself within this framework?
As just another natural process, like leaves falling in autumn or grapes ripening and being harvested. It's the dissolution of the elements you're made of. Nothing terrifying.
Either oblivion or transformation.
Right. He considers both. Either it's like falling asleep forever, no sensation, so nothing bad to experience, or it's a change into something else, a different state of being, so life in some form continues. He admits uncertainty, though. The sources point out he wasn't dogmatic about extinction versus survival versus dispersal. He was okay with not knowing for sure.
Okay, so we've got the inner self, our place in the cosmos, the acceptance of change and death. How does this all translate into how we should treat other people? Because he definitely wasn't advocating for becoming a hermit.
No, quite the opposite. A core principle is that humans are made for each other. We're social animals by nature. Cooperation, mutual benefit, that's fundamental.
That idea of the great city, the city of Zeus.
Yeah, the cosmopolis. The entire universe is one city, and all human cities, Rome included, are just like neighborhoods within it. What's good for this world city, this universal community, that's the only real good.
That puts our daily squabbles in perspective.
It really does, and it directly informs how he says we should deal with people who mess up, who do wrong, who annoy us.
The teach-or-tolerate idea.
Exactly. The Stoic view, which he adopts, is that people mostly do wrong out of ignorance. They don't truly understand what's good for them or others. So getting angry doesn't help. Your options are try to teach them better, or if you can't, tolerate them.
Easier said than done, sometimes. But he gives that really practical list in Book 11, doesn't he? Like a cheat sheet for dealing with jerks.
Yeah, it's brilliant. His 9 reminders for when someone's driving you crazy. He says, remember, 1, they're probably acting out of ignorance. 2, hey, you've got plenty of faults yourself, and you could easily do the same thing.
Ouch.
3, are you even sure they're doing wrong? Maybe you don't have the full story. 4, life's incredibly short. Soon you'll both be gone anyway. 5, this is key. It's not their action that's upsetting you. It's your judgment about it. Change the judgment, the anger vanishes.
That's the core again.
6, often the anger and pain you feel in reaction is way worse than whatever they did in the first place. 7, sincere kindness. It's basically invincible. 8, try talking to them gently with affection, not criticism. Remind them we're meant to help each other and they're only harming themselves.
And 9.
9, the killer line. Bees don't act like this. Nature doesn't intend for social creatures to arm each other.
Bees don't act like this.
Right.
Love it. And this tolerance, it's not just putting up with stuff, it's part of justice for him.
It is. And it connects to doing good without needing applause or reward. Just do the right thing. Because it's the right thing, like a vine produces grapes, or a horse runs its race, or a bee makes honey.
They just do what they're designed to do?
Exactly. That's their function, their nature. And fulfilling your nature as a rational, social being by acting virtuously is the reward. It's good in itself and good for you in the truest sense.
Okay, so influences, inner world, universe, other people, bringing it all together. How does Marcus suggest we actually live this day to day? What's the practical takeaway for living a good life according to these principles?
Well, he sums up the ideal state pretty powerfully. Live each day as if it were your last, without frenzy, without apathy, without pretense.
Urgency, calm, and authenticity.
That's it. And specific practices. One major one is focus. Concentrate fully on the task at hand. Do it with precision, dignity, sympathy, justice. Clear your mind of everything else. Just this.
Single tasking with virtue.
Kind of, yeah. And analyze things. Break them down. What's this thing made of? How long will it last? What virtue is needed to deal with it well? Look at its material components, its cause, its purpose or reference point.
Stay simple. Avoid drama.
Be simple and decent. Avoid unnecessary fuss and turmoil. Cultivate that inner freedom, that calm center that isn't disturbed by external events.
He had some great analogies for this stuff, too. We mentioned the river, the vine, the bee,
Yeah, and the sun's rays, how the universal mind shines on everything, but only reflective surfaces like receptive minds actually receive the light.
and the boxer versus the gladiator. That's a good one.
Oh, yeah. The gladiator needs his sword, an external tool. The boxer just needs his fists. His readiness comes from within. It's about relying on your inner character, not external props.
Life is a play.
Classic Stoic metaphor. You have a role, play it well. When the director signals your exit, you leave the stage gracefully. Don't complain about the part or the length of the play.
And the spring versus the cistern.
Right. Be a constantly flowing spring of inner goodness, not a cistern that just holds whatever external rain, praise, luck, whatever happens to fall into it. Keep generating virtue from within.
And if you manage all this, what's the payoff Marcus sees?
Ease of mind, tranquility, ataraxia, leading a good life, aligned with nature and reason. And the powerful part is, he insists nobody can stop you from achieving this inner state. It's entirely within your control.
So wrapping this up, we've journeyed through Marcus Aurelius' world, the man, his teachers, that intense focus on the inner life, on judgment and control, then zooming out to the cosmos, change, acceptance, our duties to each other, and finally, these practical ways to live.
It really is a shortcut to the heart of the meditations, and what's striking is how much this ancient wisdom resonates today. Dealing with stress, uncertainty, difficult people, information overload, it all seems to circle back to focusing on your own mind, your character, and your connection to others. Finding that inner spring.
Yeah. And considering his constant focus on how fleeting everything is, life, fame, empires, the universe itself, it makes you think, if everything external is in flux, maybe focusing on your inner character and contributing positively to the community, like he says, isn't just one philosophical option among many. Maybe, in the face of all that impermanence, it's the only thing that truly holds lasting meaning. Gives you something to chew on, doesn't it?